watching the clock, 10,000 hours go by. I keep putting in work, the tears are filling my eyes. I swear I've never been tested like this, but this is mine. It's not a matter of chance, just a matter of time. Never look back. If something standing in my way, I always push back. If something seemed impossible, I never took that. Nah, cause now I know better. Can't stop, won't stop, I won't quit ever. Won't take me. The highest fall, it won't break me. The blood and sweat is what made me. I'ma get mine, just a matter of time.
Welcome back, guys, to the LCK. This is Joel with your translations for today, and we're here with Dangun and Bitto just as always in for the post-match analysis and see what they have to say with Griffin playing against KT. Thought that the team fight was so clean by KT that easily got them the win. That one, and lots of people were in disbelief whether KT could defeat Griffin for how good Griffin have been performing in recent days. And let's look at some of the points here and that they want to really bring up here. To look at the highlights of that game in Game 1 and see how it all turned about. We thought maybe a comeback play would be a possibility here, but in the end, Smeb knew exactly what he was doing as soon as he went for the engage, and Skull just went into for that last touch. Other than that, it became a very clinical finish from Smeb. Turned out very nicely, giving the early advantage over to KT. And this was where the top lane advantage was not in the favor of Griffin when the Renekton decided to go in for this one, and just being behind, being behind in vision, being behind and just advantage it, just in case a 1v1 fight does break out. The Renekton was bound to lose either way, so this was a risky play being played by Sword after already having gone down in that encounter earlier, and here he is trying to get that extended vision for his teammates, and you see how KT is going to punish them in a later aspect. But this is right here where Trundle moves around. We get to get a better feel of how this all added on to become the thing. And we're just wondering where Score just went towards the fact that putting down the vision and with the sweeping lens, just trying to make sure the vision is not fulfilled for the side of Griffin. And that was right around where Alistar came in for the play and knew exactly where a fight could break out. So Mata was on the top of things, being in mid lane, just in case the cover was needed. And this is right here where Griffin's vision is intact. That's where actually the Trundle was at the moment. So Score definitely not visible towards the side of Griffin, and because of that, they definitely knew what they were. They definitely weren't aware of KT's movements on trying to catch out the extended vision. There were no way for Griffin to punish out KT in that instance, and that's the difference between the vision advantage that both teams did have and did not have. That allowed Griffin to not have the best of games after losing that advantage early, and that led to the vision advantage towards the side of KT. And overall, once that all builds together, it just allows KT to get a very nice victory. It was a textbook play. It's being played by a team that was ahead by KT, and they definitely knew how to take that advantage and turn that into a victory. Just feels like all these little things that were done by KT really allowed them to take the inch away every single time. And they knew they got the wins here. Let's look at some of the team fights here. We saw the Alistar for the initiate, and we actually saw the fight back was Viper with a Yasuo, and also the team fight coming from Griffin. It was looking good for initially, but and this was right around where Aatrox and Galio, as soon as they came in, look how much damage they could do, because 5-man taunt, as we saw from that flash earlier, and really nothing to do there, and the Aatrox comes in, just dives in and does all the damage, and this is the moment where Griffin thought they were going to win out the team fight, outnumbering their opponents, but that's just it. All it really required was the Aatrox and Galio to come in together, top and mid, into this team fight for KT, and just a 5-man taunt. It really started off the comeback for KT in this particular team fight. That's what allowed all that damage to come through. You see the HP bars getting knocked off left and right, and look at that, just Galio just coming out the damage in. The Aatrox helping out so much with it, and triple kill already you can see there, and just goes to show that key plays from key players really made all the difference there. Definitely getting a losing team fight into a winning one, and still lots of people having their faith in KTs, saying that this is the LCK. As you can see from the English comment there, welcome to LCK, this is what it's all about, and even if we thought that Griffin was the best team in all of LCK, we just never know the obstacles that will be facing them in the future. It just feels like the Griffin, although they look strong, KT looks stronger on that particular game number 1, and we're gonna hear from that one-line summary from Biddle. So just saying that KT is laughing at the rookies, saying rookie take on the rookies, and rookies are just rookies, is saying what KT, and we'll see if they can continue on that phrase for game 2. But in the meantime, we'll send it back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Joel. That seemed like an easy one-line summary this time. We're starting the day treating Joel a little bit more nicely. But welcome back, guys. MVP is going to go over to that 5-man taunt General UCal in the mid lane. 6-0-5 on the Galio.
And we mentioned it. I mentioned at the start of the broadcast. I said, Daddy's gone. Where did Daddy go? Haven't seen him in a while. He shows back up. He's back from the shop. Finally, here he is with the 5-man taunt. Everybody knew that Daddy UCal was back.
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely incredible performance. And it felt like that fight was going the way of Griffin, but it certainly didn't in the end. We're going to get some of these highlights as well, as it was another beautiful dive from KT. We know that Mata, very, very good at juggling aggro, does so yet again. But this is the moment.
Yep, I saw it coming, and this is what happens when you have all of the melee champions. Atlas, how can you kite away? You're trying to kill those low health members. No, no, no. A 5-man flash taunt. Beautiful. Just the sort of stuff you only have one facial expression at. Beautiful. That won them the game. They got the clones, they played the team fights. The draft against melees was genius, and he even killed Chovy on the back end.
He did. The unofficial
I'm the better
kill.
17-year-old mid laner.
Look at this. Look at Viper not being able to play League of Legends at all.
UCal is 2 months older than Chovy. You guys are wondering, he's 17 years old and 5 months. Another old veteran.
I was going to say, the maturity really shows. But guys, it looks like we aren't going to have any switch-ups, no Rathers in the mid lane, no Kind Boys in the jungle. Coaches entering the booth. We're heading straight into game 2. KT trying to carry the momentum, but what is the adaptation from Griffin moving into the next match? I have a feeling that maybe a ranged champion might be an idea.
Sabatine knows best, baby. Let's get that range in there from one of these teams. No more 10 no-range champions. I'd like anyone to tweet at us if you know of a professional match with 10 melee champions. I believe it's the first I've ever seen. I'm also going to say Rakan is a range champion, and those other short-range champions still count as range. So 10 melee. If you've seen one of those, do tweet at us.
So Thresh doesn't count, Graves doesn't count.
Graves
those
also,
ones,
yeah. Those guys are all ranged.
They're a bit confusing, though.
Could have been one in the LPL. I can't watch all the games, it turns out, of the LPL. I try. I really do.
Yeah, well, I think we all do. But
let's focus on this draft and see where the adaptations are. As Griffin says, man, this Galio thing was pretty annoying.
It was, and they banned it away. So that's the adaptation so far. Tom Kench not going to be seeing any play on the Rift at all, and the extra prioritization of the Swain will come in here for Griffin.
2 champions that do well against melees are banned by Griffin, so perhaps they want to stay up close and personal.
Well, speaking of which, the Shen once again going to be banned away, and this was one of the champions that I sort of was wondering about, because Lahen's got it twice in a row against Kingzone, and they were made to look foolish.
We need to hold on. A lot is open. Nocturne is open for the first time this week. The Zoe is also open. I like Nocturne into Zoe because of his ability to fully contest it. What will the first pick be? This would be a bad sign to me. for Griffin. It says two different things. We'll get to it if it's locked in. It'll be the Alistar. Now, this either says we just want to play counter pick against KT. We're having a bit of a timer issue here, clearly.
Yeah.
Not sure what that means, but let's
Haven't
assume
had that issue before.
if Alistar's locked in, which it appears to be, this says either Lehens has a very small effective champion pool with Morgana and Shen banned away,
Yeah.
or it says we just want to counter pick. It could be either. To me, the first thought is that you need to prize the Alistar for Lehens, but the cost is a lot of power. Nocturne and Zoe still available. The Aatrox becoming a first-round pick. Be first round at this time, and you imagine Sword will be a bit disincentivized from picking the Renekton. Maybe Malphite this time will be the move.
In the early stages of the laning phase, he did do fantastically well, but you're right. Might be not an option, and yes, the Nocturne is going to be picked up here, but is this something that Griffin have left open for a reason to give, you know, Tarzan an opportunity on more of an early game jungler?
Or are they going to funnel against it? Because funnel comp against Nocturne is what a lot of people are talking about. We haven't seen the funnel comp on 8-12 yet, but it's something you could consider. Because
And everything's
Nocturne
available as well.
has very low impact pre-6, so we want ganking, and at the same time the funnel is getting all of the camps. Seems like the funnel's not happening. Zooming in on the mid lane here, it's going to be Tarzan most likely on the Camille. Could be in the top lane, but we're thinking jungle.
Yeah, could have expected something like a Lulu to be picked up first pick for Griffin if they were intending the funnel.
Now Griffin's kind of in a weird spot where if they don't take Zoe, KT's going to lock Zoe and double ban.
Yeah.
So they really don't want that, but then also you're opting into Zoe against Nocturne, which is good compositionally. So because they first picked Alistar, they're in this really weird spot where if they don't take Zoe, there might not be an effective champion for Chovy to take into Zoe. And for KT, after they double banned, they'd be in a really good spot. So it's a very technical part of the draft, but very interesting to follow. This one's pretty straightforward to follow.
Yeah.
We're bruising.
Certainly are. Continuing down that road is Deft. Yukao going to leave his pick up in the air. So Griffin with some opportunities as far as banning things away. His Swain and his Galio have both already left.
For a flex pick game, do we just have 6 champions in the roles they're going to go in? It does seem like we have support jungle mid versus top lane jungle and bot lane carry. See if anything changes. KT going to ban away the bot lane GP, which amusingly has evolved into one of the S1-1 in the LCK, but the logic is that the barrels have always zoned Mordekaiser, even in the Juggernaut era of 2015 Worlds, where you were falling over the draft GP and Mord. The GP was seen as the winning side of the matchup, so no farm lane for our resident plays everything Viper in the bot lane.
Yep.
Vladimir is still open, and that's one you could consider banning also. I think Mordekaiser's fine in the lane, but because Viper's been good on it, you might consider it when they're pylon comp.
Makes sense.
They're going to ban it anyway.
And he's played it, what, 4 times, 100% win rate?
Yep.
The guy is damn good at the Vladimir. Even playing the Predator Vladimir in the bottom side of the map, that's a tough one to navigate in the mid lane, and Viper makes it look easy. Final ban here for Griffin.
Focusing on support so far, they already took away the Alistar. Rakan banned also. Tom Kench is gone, so for Mata, Thresh is a big pick for him, obviously.
Gragas is going to come in, another engaged support, so like you were talking about, they are targeting Mata's ability to engage a fight.
Thresh would be, it's not great against Alistar, but it would be an interesting pick with the comp and with the Mordekaiser. Could be considered, it's the OG Bruise Bros.
Yeah. We're doing it.
All right, this is the Bruise Bros duo that KT love. Mordekaiser, Ornn bot lane.
Oh, that's going to be beautiful.
Mordekaiser's got the damage and Ornn's got the CC.
Remember, it's still a flex. As FLICKR
No.
showed us, you can
No,
play the
no, no.
Aatrox in the mid lane.
You're right, and there will be the outside. There's probably a 1% chance that happens depending on the draft here. How about a different top lane pick into Aatrox?
Or the different bottom lane pick into Mordekaiser Ornn.
I mean, he's good against melee champions, but let's wait and catch what's happening here. A lot going on in the draft. The flex picks aren't always registered by the end.
Well, this is going to almost confirm it, and by almost, I mean guaranteed confirm it. So Darius going to be going to the bottom side with a Mundo into the Aatrox.
That's a lot of bruise in the bot lane.
Yeah, we've got one range champion though, so don't worry about it, Papa. We got there. Chovy's on his Zoe.
And again.
Oh, okay. We're looking for engage, and
Now, Smeb is a legendary Kennen player.
yeah. So does that mean that we do have the Aatrox mid? We've got the Kennen top and the Bruise Bros.
it does appear that has happened, Atlas. So Kennen is Smeb because it's Smeb, so of course he'll be playing the Kennen. A lot of bot laners have played Kennen, and I know Def does take some leaps from Reckless's playbook at times, but you have to imagine It's going to be the top lane Kennen against Mundo going AD, trying to beat him like Cuvée did. Darius bot lane against Mordekaiser. I understand the logic, given his strength against melee champions. Chovy has to take the exhaust. He's on his undefeated, only 1 death in 5 games Zoe. But Yukal, he saw it up close. He saw FLICKR do it, and he says, what about an Aatrox for me?
Yeah, and remember, I mean, the Aurelio is picked into the Zoe as a good matchup a lot of the time, based on the fact that she can jump on top of the Zoe. Darkflight also has that opportunity. You've got a fair bit of damage if you can stick on top of the Zoe. See whether he can get this one done, Yukal in the mid lane, but Chovy, he's got his power pick, and it could be a dangerous time. Not one of those nullifying matchups like we had with the Galio.
What a draft. This is
some crazy stuff.
It unpacked so slowly. We didn't know till the end. I'm sure KT weren't sure to the end where everyone was going. They flip and settle on the advantageous matchup in the top lane for the Kennen. What does it mean for Darius Alistar? The first pick Alistar seems like a reach on paper, but that's what Griffin desperately wanted at the first pick for Lehens.
And they've also got a heck of a lot of CC to move down towards this bottom lane as well. So going to be a different story up against the Mordekaiser this time than it was with the Gragas and, of course, the Yasuo, because level 6 was more important there, whereas Darius just, he's able to smack you down pretty early on in the game. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what you guys at home made of this draft, but I'm certainly excited regardless. Griffin versus KT. Can Griffin bounce back or KT get the 2-0? Let's do it. Griffin fans still with a very loud voice, but KT a little bit louder this time around as well, as Yukal's having a bit of a chat to Chovy.
Whoa, the Lehens fans are the best artists we have. That is an awesome Sirach Shen situation there.
Yeah. Oh man, how sad would you be if you were these guys and you're like, oh no, I don't have the glorious artwork.
At least they clearly did it in the studio, whereas I highly doubt in game 1, when you're trained on Lehens, you also produce that level of quality artwork.
Yeah. Well, potential cheese coming in here as Marta. Oh, that is a value ward.
Good news.
Goes down very quickly.
Smeb has taken the leaf from his good friend Marin and started Cull on the Kennen. He will most likely be going AP, actually, because he's got an unsealed spellbook. AD, usually you take press the attack or a laning keystone, but still could be going into the AD through it all.
Remember, Smeb made his mark on the world on the Kennen with an AP build, killing absolutely everyone.
We did say famous Kennen for a reason. Now, this Griffin level 1 plan is actually really intriguing, as they're going to take a little bit of harass coming into lane. My expectation before we all started was that Griffin would run to lane and just deny level 1 push from Deft and Mata, because level 1, very punishing to walk up to a Darius, we all know about his passive, and try to control the lane from there. They actually fully disengage to allow the invade from the Camille. He's trying to go blue to blue.
Wow.
Which is interesting. Going Darius Alistar and giving up level 1 push against Mordekaiser and Ornn seems almost a counterpoints to each other, so I'm very surprised to see it. And Mart and Deft already on the roam. They would like, let's go.
Yep, they're going to walk over to this Rift Scuttler and grab that one for themselves. A lot of damage available under neutrals here with this Bruise Bro combo, especially early on.
First time we're seeing Nocturne in a long time after being permanently banned all week. Never fell through, 100% banned on 8-12 so far.
And the thing that I actually really like, what Griffin have done, seeing the Nocturne as well, and especially with how the early movements have gone. It's a 3-buff start here for Tarzan, but he does have that level 2 advantage of the Camille. They do have a lot of early game power in that jungle role. We highlighted it for a reason. What can Griffin actually do with the power that they'll have before score hits that level 6?
And because Camille has all the ganking options that the hook shot provides, they can control bot side and deny away the famous Drake from Big Man Mordekaiser. Will be a very different game. That's the sort of thing you want to focus on. KT's power is kind of transferred. They do have a strong bot lane, but now the Kennen is very much in an advantageous matchup. If you missed Gen G yesterday, we saw the Blade the Ruin King Rageblade build come through from Cuvée and just auto-attack the Mundo into the turret, basically. Mundo goes down, and the turret goes down. Whichever is closest, he's auto-attacking. Very much focused on the split push. Wait and see if that's the build from Smeb. A lot of different options you can take, and he's definitely focused on pushing. Amusingly.
Well, Bruce Bros are going to jump in. Exhaust already down onto Viper, but they're not taking a lot of damage just yet. Deft, he's going to cop a bit on the way back, and that passive will take him down a little bit, but so far, just trading blows, not finding too much more.
Ends up being pretty even. For this shove, even though it's Cannon, he's actually gone for the minion disintegrator as well in order to guarantee he can push whenever he wants to roam with ultimate, or even just to invade topside. So it's another reason why maybe there was such a big impact. If you know there's something like that going on, then it even further incentivizes messing with the enemy jungler, because otherwise Nocturne and Cannon spend their whole time on your blue side and you never get a blue buff.
Yeah. Well, the score is going to come down. Notice that there isn't any jungle to steal away, but going to get some vision and some knowledge of the fact that Tarzan isn't down here. KT can utilize that by pushing up this wave. Also easily if they can get themselves into a minion wave. Harvester of Sorrows from Deft.
We've got a ranged champion, finally.
Yeah, we do.
One for each team.
Thanks, Chovy, and thanks, Smith.
Gentleman's agreement. Just bring one back. We don't want to alienate any viewers. So.
Yeah, exactly. You're confused about the meta.
I mean, there's a lot of viewers that watch the, no range AD carry man. They're like, I don't want to watch this. There's a lot of ranged champion players out there, so we had to include
That's true, that's true.
We're all about inclusivity here in the LCK. Everyone's invited.
Uh-huh. Apart from in Game 1. But we invited them back for Game 2. And will this mean that Griffin can grab themselves a win? You have Chovy on his very famous Zoe now, 45 KDA.
Let's see how the lane control is for the Aatrox, because SpoTV was kind enough to show on screen the smart freezes that FLICKR was doing on Yasuo and Aatrox to get the wave on his side. And if you're a melee champion with Engage, like Aurelia, Aatrox, some degree the Yasuo, you can freeze it just outside the minion wave. We talked about it with Aurelia so many times this season. It's actually really hard for the enemy to do much. If he can't shove, if he's actually being zoned, you can just start denying CS as a melee champion. In the mid lane, Yukal's gone teleport, just like his opposite number. We're seeing the Camille sneak in and Nocturne pinging around, knows there's the potential for something to happen here.
Yep. Minion Dematerializer going to be utilized here from Smeb. Lightning rushes this wave down. But he knew that Sword had a buddy hanging around, because otherwise he probably wouldn't have walked past that turret. No knowledge of where Score actually was. So going to nullify the potential dive. Camille going to go back home, still looking for a place to make an impact.
Because your runing situation is different with the, change in the rune system in 2018. I think Smeb will desperately want to buy second after he sees the items from Mundo, so he knows which way to go. Like, you could actually go from AD to AP here until Spellbook suggests it's going to be AP, but doesn't hamstring you either way. There's a lot of options. And while the AD build going down the precision tree was the way we saw yesterday with the attack from Cuvée.
Yeah.
Waiting to see what the choice is in this particular game from Smeb.
You can still go back and get an Amp Tome and some boots, and we'd still have no idea what's going on.
But normally you want to make it a pretty one-sided purchase, a Bilge Water.
Yeah.
Probably into a Hextech Revolver, I guess, if you're going AP. Again, because we've seen the AD build, it's my first thought. Smeb goes back, and we're finally going to get a piece of information, what is a lot of unknowns in Game 2 of this series.
Yep, Teleport probably going to be utilized as well to get him back into that lane, but there it is, Oblivion Orb picked up.
All
and
right.
some booties, we're going AP. It's what we wanted from Smeb.
He is the legend. You already mentioned that famous Rocks Tigers game. I believe it was against EDG with the huge Smeb flank ultimate. His TP ults on the Cannon are legendary. We showed his win rate. It was 10-3 earlier in the broadcast. LCK win rate. Oblivion Orb, Morellonomicon into an ability power build is fun to see.
And remember, I mean, we were talking about anti-melee. Cannon's pretty good at anti-melee as well if you've got a hell of a lot of AP. That Slicing Maelstrom on multiple people is huge.
Especially because a lot of them are going to be chilling on the back end when the damage now comes in.
Yeah.
Was that Rocks game, was it G2? May have been G2.
It was many moons ago.
Yeah, 2016 Worlds, where you still had the upfront burst. Now it's the backup burst. It's the back end. And if it's melee champions, we already saw in game number 1, likely to be clumped, likely to take the back end AP damage.
Exactly. And you're going to want to be committing as well if you're either Viper or Sword, who don't exactly have any mobility spells to get them out other than their flashes. So excited to see how it's going to go, but KT, another Cloud Drake, another early game, and it looks like this one will go down in favor of the Mordekaiser once again.
Smart at playing around back time, as we can see Alistair in lane. Only in a couple of seconds, he'd gone for the back, and now another big Drake, and double melee bot lane looks at the Drake and says, well, please go away.
Yeah, the difference here is that Viper has stayed up in farm, but that may change as Deft is going to munch through this minion wave. Oh, apprehended. Better move your dragon out of the way, Deft. But
And headbutted.
yeah, it's going to be Lens that helps move him out of the turret range.
Camille doesn't want to show, because it shows too much information for the Camille to come in and help with this.
Yeah.
So awkwardly, they will lose quite a lot of turret HP.
Viper's going to do his best to clear out these minions, and he's going to do so, as Deft gets a cheeky little bit of poke with the Harvester of Sorrows.
If they had a no-mana mid laner, maybe the Camille comes in, but because they have Zoe, who desperately needs to get the blue buff, you show bot lane, you lose that blue buff instantly. So that's the game plan there. It's not just Tarzan saying screw you guys, it was actually a map play there on the side of Griffin.
Yep. Good protective play, though, to make sure that if the dive was to come in, they could answer as Smeb. Oh, God. I've seen this summon a spell choice in my bronze games, as the old teleport ignite has been picked up for the spellbook.
Now let's mention something. We saw Cuvée always keep the Mundo at the arm's length because he went into the Rage Blade Blade the Ruin King for always percentage HP damage. While Morellonomicon is a good news story, it is healing reduction. There definitely reached a tipping point, Spirit Visage and then some.
Yeah.
Let's say Spirit Visage Warmogs, where there is no kill pressure at all for the Ken. He cannot do anything in the 1v1, compared to Cuvée, who spent most of his time split pushing. That is an important takeaway, because it means the tipping point for the Mundo being able to safely lane is actually relatively early.
Well, at the moment, they're trying to make sure that that's not going to happen, as Score and Smeb hanging out here in this brush. We've got the Maelstrom available, we've got Ignite available. Smeb throws down the ult. In goes the Paranoia as well, and that's a stopwatch to stop all of the fun from KT, but it's not going to happen just yet. The flash from Score, but will he be traded? Umbra Blades, will it come back up? There's the smite, and he gets into the brush. Camille desperately trying to make her way over.
So slow, though.
Is it going to actually happen? I don't think so. Wishing for boots right now as out goes Score.
16 HP, and he gets away, just about calculated by the side of KT. They really needed that. Smeb had actually switched over to Ignite with the Unsealed Spellbook to guarantee it. Back to the flash, back to a lead in the top lane for Smeb.
Yep, I've seen this story before, Papa. Get the dragon, get the kill on the top lane. Let's see it again. A lot of flashes had to be expended.
Well, they only had one.
Well, actually, yeah, that's a good point.
But Score just flies in. The Ignite ticks, the early ones are not relevant, and he falls low, but that's just like the 16 HP. Had to use the flash there to score. The minions knew what they wanted, but first the smite to get just a little bit of health. And then disengaging the minions by going into a brush. That was definitely some clenching stuff for KT fans, but it was a 1-for-0.
And the highest value refillable potion I have ever seen in my entire life. There's another fight as the Bash Bros jump in here. Deft not going to take turret aggro as there's the Ornhorn, but good stun comes down from Lehens. KT find themselves back under the turret. They've just been scuffling this whole time. But now there's a Nocturne. Paranoia not available, but might be able to take down the cow without... Oh, no. Unbreakable Will still available. Not utilized there.
On the Rift at the same time, Aatrox gets the information. They know there's no counter gank bot side now, so maybe the Nocturne stays.
That control ward in this brush as well for KT as they want to try and grab this first turret. It looks like they should be able to. Deft actually taking a lot of damage. As in they go, Lehen's getting taken down low, but they just wanted to get the ultimate and are going to be able to do so.
Getting Mordekaiser and Ornn out of lane just frees up those Ornhorns to be in every lane, and Mordekaiser to push. It's a big win for KT in terms of where they get the first brick, getting it in the bot lane. Big advantage to Mord.
Yep.
Again, another game where they've managed to make the Mordekaiser work to their advantage, and going double melee against it's always situational. The level 1 where they abandoned lane allowed the Mord push and to reach the minion wave. Use that W. It end up being costly. Game certainly not decided, but KT making the right moves, and that was certainly at a premium against SKT a couple of days ago.
Yeah, it looks like Deft going for a similar build this time around, wanting a little bit more early game power with the Haunting Guise. It has his Ninja Tabi and has his Stopwatch, as well as the movement towards the Zhonya's with the Seeker's Arm Guard.
Kind of a giant spell away from Smab needing quite a lot of friends to kill this Mundo.
Yeah.
Mundo has the 2 items. You would expect him to rush against AP Cannon.
Does have the Morellonomicon on the side of Smeb, so at least the grievous wounds are going to be there, but I see what you're saying. That's the 2 items that just end any fun that you're going to have.
Giant Spell, level 11, and it's kind of fun avoided for the Mundo, which is what he's all about. And Split Push on the Mundo could be relevant. It's actually tricky, though. Usually you'd say, aha, he'll Split Push, but Aatrox has Teleport, Mundo has mostly Magic Resist and some health. And we already know that Aatrox is seen as a good matchup at different points in the game compared to the Mundo, especially in the 1-item, 2-item phase. Given that he can't itemize armor until later, there's a good chance that Aatrox stays ahead of the item curve when it comes to the 1v1 versus Mundo.
Yeah. And it's cool to have that level of flexibility as well. I mean, Kennen can go off against the Zoe as well, theoretically, and we'll have a little bit more burst potential there. Zhonya's is what he's going to go for next.
How do they get something out of the Rift Herald is the question that Tarzan needs to be asked. Holding on to it for a little while now. They don't have any deep vision at all, so making the enemy predictable, especially the Nocturne, is something you desperately want when you channel that Rift Herald.
Dragon going to be coming back up again, and that's where KT wants to be. Rift Herald, like you were talking about before, is going to be utilized here in the mid lane.
Parked 4 members there, and they're grouped, so what happens from this? It's going to take a while for Aatrox to actually push the minion wave into the turret, and while there'll be a charge, it's not going to be a turret take for the side of Griffin.
Yeah, not going to kill it. Going to poke Shelly's eyes out. She's not going to be able to get any more work done.
They're able to get some work done during the charge. You'll notice they both went into the river and tried to clear some of the vision KT had as the Drake spawns. To me, the only reason to use it a bit early would be to start to contest vision. They don't get a full contest, and En's actually backing him already. Griffin once again showing a lot of respect to KT at the cost of a second Drake for the Mordecai.
Yeah, and you mentioned contesting vision. It looks like most of the map is Score's ultimate at the moment for Griffin. It's a real struggle for them to move their vision forward. It's so defensive, as you can see their control ward line on the bottom side, because it has to be. They lost that bottom lane outer turret, and I feel like that has meant everything here for KT to continue the snowball forward, despite the fact that there's only 1 kill. It is a decent lead when it comes to gold, and the map belongs to KT. Ornhorn going to come out once again, though, as Marta looking for the knockup, doesn't get it. Good movement from Lehens, and denies the ultimate from Score as well.
Being flanked by so many people, but they don't actually stick the first engage, so no follow-up with the Dark Flight and also the Slicing Maelstrom being threatened. A lot of turret damage, though, so it still is a couple of ultimates used for the majority of health. About health parity, I would say, between the 2 mid lane turrets.
Yep. Top lane outer turret now under siege by the Mundo.
Knows Nocturne ult is down.
Yeah, he's on a phone call at the moment, but this could be a worrying sign as Tarzan's going to move in. Lehens going to stop Deft from getting here too quickly. Slicing Maelstrom held onto here by Smeb. As in goes Tarzan onto Marta. He does have to be careful as Sword has bought so much time now. KT on the wrong side of this fight. Viper gets exhausted, but there's the first kill of this battle. Yukao gets the knockup, but can he actually get the kills is the question, and the answer is no. Griffin can finish off Marta, and there goes the Aatrox. That's the team fighting that we wanted out of our #1 team here in the LCK. Ultimate still there for Smeb, though. They can't go overly aggressive, but 3 for 1 is definitely good for Griffin.
And a 3 for 0 when honestly it was more competitive. Tarzan kind of just donates his life at the end, but the first 3 was so intelligent. Sort of fight that is shouting about it right now doesn't do it justice. We need the replay to truly unpack what Griffin are doing. The big takeaway as you go into this clip is notice how much Griffin thinks about when they should engage, thinks about who they should engage on. If you just run at people, Cannon can just ultimate one person and take them out. Watching the replay through all of this, unfortunately we're missing the top side, where Tarzan doesn't group up for the Cannon ultimate. He goes on to Mata, gets a defensive flash, and then on the other flank that was off screen to start, they're able to use the Zoe, use the Trouble Bubble, get down multiple members. There's no wasted movement in the early parts of the fight, where other teams would just say, see hero, kill hero. That was the only way that Griffin could actually lose this fight straight up.
Yeah, and it's one of the pitfalls from SKT as well. I mean, it's a bit of a tunnel scenario onto Sword on the top side. Just meant that he bought so much time to create these lopsided fights in favor of Griffin.
Mid lane turret went down. Somehow, they weren't able to take the top lane turrets at 80 HP. Thank you, Observer, for showing that. No value out of AP Ken in that fight. Sure, he got a kill on the back end, but there was no huge slicing Maelstrom play that was threatening. He had Flash opening on the fight. And you see the replay. It's really about the fact that KT had a lot of weapons, but could never actually 1-2 punch There were a lot of left jabs, but there was never a combination. That's because Griffin just outplayed them in terms of target selection, and KT kind of tunnel vision to begin.
Yeah, and also outplayed them in terms of fight timing as well,
Sure.
knowing that the Paranoia was on cooldown, and the Ornhorn, I believe, wasn't quite back up again either. So a lot of the tools not there for KT.
Took 19 minutes into game 2 for Griffin to actually have the sort of moment the fans who they have started to grow would nod their head and say, okay, that's my Griffin. Because so far, KT Rolster just owned the Rift in the first 40-odd minutes of the series.
Yeah. And I mean, this is very reminiscent of their first match out against Hanwha Life, where it was really a struggle. It was a slow burn to get Griffin into the act. But KT, they are going to bounce back and, of course, still have the gold lead based on their early movement and early power. So
The slow burn, who does it benefit? It's always a question we tend to look forward to. Feels like Mundo has kind of an item timing against both at the moment. He can do decently against the Aatrox, but obviously would prefer to be in the Smeb lane. If it is Mundo versus the Kennen, I think advantage Mundo. As you can see, Kennen has gone for the pack up and team fight Zonias as a second item, rather than a second item try to dunk on the lane. From there, they have the siege advantage with the Zoe. That much is clear. Mordekaiser can keep wielding Drakes. That would be good news for Deft. But I feel like Darius is a little bit more reliable in team fights compared to Mord, especially on Deft, who's had his ups and downs on Mordekaiser already this season. A slight advantage to Griffin in terms of options the game goes on, but KT finding it this time is big, and here's a fight.
Yeah, they're going to jump right on top of the Alistair. That could be a mistake, but Mata, he's got the horn out once again. Going to knock up Lehans. No! Going to have the stopwatches. In goes Smeb. Actually finds the Zonias after the exhaust wears off to pick up the kill onto the Zoe. Now, all of the melee bruisers are in there, able to do battle with no range to back it up. And Griffin will lose their outer mid turret.
And talking about the future, doesn't matter if the now is decisive. The Paranoia stopping Sword from getting there means outnumbered by KT Rolster. The Baron has spawned, but doesn't look like they're going to try and make a play for it. Goodbye to the Spirit. They're pinging onto the Baron area, at least, of KT Rolster. So a decisive play you need, and that's what the Nocturne Ultimate provides. A variable we haven't seen much this week.
Def just going to control the Zoe so that she can tank up the cleaver for him. That was cute. Let's see the fight again.
They blow everything onto Lehans, and you think, why would you do that? It's the Alistair. He has ultimate. But he just pulls the ground at the end because they give it up. He has no more role in the fight, and Smeb can zone. He can team fight. He's already gone for the zone as a second item. By the time Sword's there, his health bar is not relevant. He doesn't actually have a role in this team fight. Well executed by KT Rolster. Is another Paranoia.
Yeah, they're going to be able to take down the tower, but is this going to be a fight for KT? Another stopwatch comes in as Griffin do have a decent man advantage, but it's not going to work out. 2-0 for the Smeb. Oh my god, his Aatrox just popping off as Mata looking for more. Deft turns up, actually finding the back end of this fight. Tarzan trying to run away, doesn't quite have the health bar. Respect for the trouble bubble as Chovy does make his way out.
Every Paranoia is just a cha-ching for the side of KT to get another big advantage from Sword on the phone, but not there. These business deals, they're hurting his team.
Yeah, exactly. He better be investing in the right stocks while he's not in the game. As KT, they've started off the Baron. They want to end this one early too. 22 minutes in, Tarzan does have the smite available and can jump in here, but will they have the vision is the question. Trouble bubble is actually going to land onto Deft.
Sword is scouting, here's the turn.
Yeah, Tarzan trying to get in there. Stopwatch goes down. Can they take down the Baron in time? Jumps into the pit. It's going to be... No, it's not! As the Baron's just left. Going to be taken now from Score. A good knock-up from Lehans, but can they actually get the fight they're looking for? Chovy has turned back up here as well as Viper picks up Smeb. It's a roller coaster of a game so far, and Deft going to be the last one taken down. KT get the Baron but lose a few.
Bit on the nose, Atlas, with the analogy, but an apt one for the game. We're seeing a double dunk, but not necessarily a game-changer fight from Griffin. Saw Sword was scouting. He's the control ward in this equation, trying to get the HP value. Tarzan uses the stopwatch, but notice no one on KT dare even use an AoE spell to damage the Baron. It's at 1400 when he goes gold, and it's at 1337 when he gets into the pit. No smite opportunity, a bit of cleanup, but job done by KT. They got the Baron. And are we seeing a blueprint, Atlas, on how to beat Griffin? Because one thing you can say is, yep, it's an early game team. Griffin, traditionally weak in the early game. Is that the way? That's one variable, but what are we seeing from KT is proactivity, engaged champions. KT are choosing when the fights happen. They are not getting dictated to like Kingzone Dragon X, where Peanut was heavily outpath. And we saw the Trundle making more ganks happen than the Nidalee. This is whenever KT says we're going to fight, Paranoia starts. An AP cannon, which is only about teamfight burst, is there. And with that sort of decisive early game in a meta that's had funneling and a meta that's had a bit more passivity outside of some of the interesting duo lanes, KT are prospering and Griffin are kind of wilting under the pressure.
Yeah, utilizing these 2-item spikes as well as Yukal now has his Rageblade Titanic Hydra. It's exactly what he wants. KT pushing this advantage further forward. The Baron's still available on a few members. Smeb knocking on the door of this inner turret on the bottom side.
Can Sword hold the door? That's a good question, by the way. It's a good question. Smeb walks up and still does damage, but Sword is getting pretty tanky, and I guess we're fighting.
Yeah, we are. Another slicing Maelstrom. Really nice Zonyas as well as Ingo score, but he explodes. Chovy just deals with him. The Ornhorn's not going to get as much work done as he really wants it to. Yukal does have the passive, but Sword's just going to walk his way into the back line and take down the cannon. This is not the fight you were looking for, KT Rolster, as Deft is going to be dealt with, Mata is going to be dealt with, and that is the ace for Griffin.
They actually were able to initiate a fight, a few thousand gold behind, but just the initiation would have been welcome relief for a Griffin team that haven't been able to do that with any sort of a scenario. In game one, they got a good start, but they had no items. The items are there, the gold lead is not sheer, and for once Tarzan says, enough of this little rat, I'm gonna go in first. It may be on the slicing Maelstrom, but he can disengage, the Ornn ultimate goes down, and then when Yukal finds himself under the enemy turret, he's not zoning, he's not doing damage, he just dies, takes a kneel on the back end.
Yep, absolutely nothing that he could do at all. KT fall apart. They want to be all clustered together, jumping on top of each other and smacking down their foes. It doesn't work if you're all disjointed in these fights.
2-0 that seemed possible is still on, but suddenly is a little bit further away. The roller coaster analogy, always a KT special. How can you not watch a KT series? You never know what you're going to get. It's the random sampler of League of Legends, as we're going to see a lot of damage being dealt by the Zoe. She was the one, while there was a stasis on the cannon, while everyone else was chasing under a turret. She was like, for once, I can keep range and do damage.
Yeah, and Chovy may have suffered his second death of the season, but 4, 1, and 5, 9 out of the 11 kills have been Chovy's involvement. And it's always scary to see him starting to really get out of control on a champion that he's shown so much mastery of.
Darius at 2 items as well. If you're joining us for the first time on 8-12, you should watch some of our earlier matches this week, but also Steric's interaction with Trinity Force is no longer the base AD amplification, and you don't know what that means. Basically, your Sterix doesn't make your Trinity Force better like it used to, because before, Trinity Force is based on base AD, more Trinity Force damage.
Yep.
Not that interaction, but still a good choice on the champions it was good on before.
Yeah, and does mean that he's going to survive longer in these team fights as well, which is exactly what Viper is going to be trying to do, and what he was successful at in our last fight as well. Deft makes very short work of that minion wave.
I think if Griffin are looking at items, they should make very short work of the Ornn, because Ornn has gone for a support build, of course. It's got a Zeke's Convergence and not much health. It's actually surprisingly squishy on a champion that often takes a lot of time to die.
Yeah.
So both Lehens, who's been targeted earlier this game, and Mata are potential targets for the two teams.
Feels like Mata is basically just a hornblower.
And can Lehens, in a fight where he's not the target of Paranoia, just do the old counter? Because let's think about the last time AP Cannon was meta, what did you pick against him? Janna or Alistair? Because headbutt and disengage means the cannon doesn't do much. So I imagine that's the job of Lehens, headbutt away cannon at every opportunity. See if he can fulfill that with the Paranoia. Harder to do.
Yeah. Also, Smeb now having his flash available as well, being able to flash into a position where he wants to use that Zhonya's is a dangerous one.
Or over a headbutt.
Yeah.
Also possible there. We'll track and see. Has that Spellbinder for a bit more movement speed now.
I like that, actually. Didn't sort of look at Spellbinder when it got released as the cannon item, but certainly could work well. Always likes a bit of extra movement speed, does Kenny.
Not able to use the extra attack speed as freely as seeing some interesting flanks. I don't know if they were spotted going into this brush, but are spotted now at Tarzan and Lehens. Game so even, 1,000 gold between the two. It's going to be a lot about teamfight execution. The wombo starts, it may never end on the side of KT.
Yep. Dragon going to come up as well as the Baron. As in goes Tarzan looking for Smeb, but he throws back half of the HP bar of Tarzan in his face.
When Tarzan looks and realizes, what do I know about the map state? Very little. Do I know for sure that there isn't two members of KT behind the cannon? The answer is no. He pulls away. So it doesn't go straight up engaged. Pull away. No harm, no foul. Smeb will hit a side lane, and we now, once again, slowly move towards what is going to be just one hell of a fight.
Yeah, can KT find a late game team fight on relatively even ground that they can win against Griffin? Because we know, Griffin, they can win a late game team fight. That is certainly something that they've shown us over and over again. KT, can they offer us that late game prowess that we've wanted more of from this squad?
You know what they want more of? A Drake Atlas. They didn't get the
right
last one, and KT in position for this one.
Triple Ocean as well. Triple Cloud Drake. For the relatively slow-moving squad, as Headbutt Pulve's going to be dodged by the Dark Flight. Nicely done there by Yukal, and they'll easily be able to take this one down. Sword jumps into the pit, but Score will have the smite. They are going to be able to take that one down. This is not a fight that you now want, Griffin, because there's a big dragon in here, 6v5, but can they split this one up? Big Apprehend comes in, as now KT, they've got Martyr on a stopwatch. Double kill comes down, as the Aatrox was already dead, and Deft, he's in no man's land. His dragon's trying to get the work done, but he's not going to be able to do it. Zhonya's is there, but prolonging the inevitable. 3 Cloud Drakes. Is it worth losing 3 members of the team?
Definitely not, Atlas, and you baited. You said, okay, why Sword in the backline? Why are they doing this? It's a fight to disengage. No, no, no. Griffin knows that Sword can stand in the middle of the people he find and start to actually zone. And on the back end, it was 4v2, so they just take them down. Closest target for Darius is so happy because he stacks up his passive on the first member. Sword can just effectively control Deft and Score infinitely. He has his ultimate, he's fine. Watch the top side of the fight. It's a 4v2. They split the fight from how Sword actually comes in. It's a genius move from the Mundo. It's really smart from Sword, because in all the time that's wasted, 2 kills go down, and a third is guaranteed on Deft.
Yeah, Deft actually didn't even use his flash. I thought he might actually flash over, but wanted to avoid KT getting aced. So wanted to move Griffin in a different direction. Makes a little bit of sense, but it's a dangerous one, and the Baron did go over to Griffin.
Got some flash info in English for you guys there. Oh, Jan, if you just, coming in, chilling, watching some League of Legends. Cloud Drake, pretty damn good in and out of combat, and that was the difference that came through. 6% MS for someone like a Mordekaiser who just desperately wants to get in range of people and boop them with his Q. Pretty good.
Yeah, in fact, Cannon, another champion that's desperate for as much movement speed as possible. So three Clouds is good for KT with the composition that they have at the moment. However, it's not working. That last team fight was an absolute disaster, and now the gold absolutely even with a Baron circling Griffin.
And in the replay, to no one's surprise, Baron was taken by Griffin.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they're looking for the Siege. They've got the Zoe, and KT have got all in. That's still what they have. One good news story for KT is they didn't use any flashes in the last fight, but only Lahen's used his on the side of Griffin.
The big question that's on my mind is, can KT actually find some target selection parity here in these fights? Because their composition does work very well if they can just pick a target and make it a 6v4.
Who's they, though? Because Cannon and Nocturne probably can, but they have to get into that same target. Tricky. Getting a Ghost quite hard because you can't get there with your burst damage, which is going to be in the back line, while Mordekaiser kind of just has to deal with doing a little bit of incidental damage to Sword. Amusingly, Mundo's anti-carry job is to run at Mundo's anti-carry job is to run at Mordekaiser and just try to waste his time. As we're seeing an on ult, but there's already some low health members. Deft's already out of the fight.
Yeah, Deft is basically out of the fight. Will need to ult to get themselves in there. Slicing Maelstrom comes in from Smeb, trying to find the priority as already the Camille does go down. The Zoe's dead as well as KT. They may have found their fight finally. Score with the Guardian Angel is there, and they just ignored the Mundo and killed the rest of the team.
That's sort of like you dream of as Smeb watching just the cleanup here as Mundo is still Mundo.
Okay, well, Smeb is going to survive. They are finally able to kill the Dr. Mundo. And there is only one more Baron remaining in the hands of Viper, and he's on the bottom side of the map.
The dream flank from a cannon. The Smeb flank that we know all about. It wasn't burst damage, but through the CC, they were exposed. The Mundo could be ignored. The backline could be accessed. Chovy goes down. Only the 3rd time in 6 series on that pick, and they're going to lose at least a couple of turrets for this play.
Yep. They're in fact going to tank up this inner turret as well, as they're giving a lot of respect to Viper. Sterix as well as the Guardian Angel now, making him very difficult to deal with.
Paranoia and a cannon coming from your rear. Very, very unfortunate, both in terms of phrasing and in terms of timing on the side of KT. Nicely done by Smeb. I don't know if we'll get a replay, but definitely was pretty self-explanatory. For once, the Zoe, who's gone very offensive, exhaust for the laning phase, no QSS, very much knows that her role is to keep distance. KT closed the distance. With flashes down, can they close the distance again?
Yeah, and Chovy also decided not to finish off the Zhonya's Hourglass as well. He was looking into that quite early on, but decides, nope, more damage, gets himself a sweet hat, and probably would have really liked to have a Zhonya's in that last fight. Stopwatch was already broken.
Big numbers here to take away are Darius and Zoe from this fight to last. Last, they were both able to do relevant damage. This fight, Darius just had to pack up because he realized the fight was over and Zoe was assassinated. So much better when it comes to the coordination. 5,400 gold gain. Now, this is not the NA and EU LCS. How much did KT make and how much more did Griffin make? This is just how much gold was earned through Baron.
Yep.
So it's not a relative term, it's just an absolute term.
Not a very large number.
No.
A lot of our Baron power plays.
We had 10,600 yesterday. That one was pretty sick.
That was a big one.
A double Griffin. Sounds pretty good to me.
Double the Griffin. What that means is Yukal is just going to push this one in on the top side. Answered by Sword, who proved to everyone that he is basically impossible to kill. Now has himself that Locket of the Iron Solari for the most shield.
I feel like the next fight, the fact that he's nearly impossible to kill will either be a cool story or the coolest story. An ironic term or a real term. In the side lane, he's got mostly magic resist, but enough armor that he's not going to die instantly to an Aatrox. But can they get value out of the Mundo? Can they get value out of the Zoe? Both of them can straight up win a fight, but if closed down by a Kennen and Nocturne, much, much harder.
Yeah. Well, Yukal looking for a back here on the top side as Smeb. Be able to clear out the vision. KT move on over, and they really want this Elder Dragon deft. He just really wants the pets. Every pet is the one that he wants. They have started this one off, but Scryer's Bloom means that Griffin know exactly what's going on. Yeah, teleport is going to come in.
Kennen is around the backside again. He will be spotted by a control ward, and Darius actually walked there. But they still don't know where Smeb is, and that's no doubt putting a lot of doubt into the minds of Griffin.
Yep, he's got Ghost, not Flash this time around, but Lightning Rush and Ghost is going to mean that he's going to be super speedy. This Elder Drake has been reset, re-pulled so many times. His teleport now being invested. Double teleports coming in from KT. As in goes the Paranoia. They jump into the backline, but they've split themselves up once again. Ornhorn flies through, but Chovy is dead. The Nocturne may have just done his job as Lehens. He has to run the hell out of this fight. And there's the Ghost. Okay, Sword, you're not as unkillable as you think you are, but you're going to be able to at least take down the cannon. He's running away. Are they able to actually get the damage down? Because I don't think they've got the Grievous Wounds, but there it is. Finally taken out. And Viper, once again, zoned. Couldn't get into that fight towards the end, and now KT will be able to take down the Elder Drake.
It won't be a game ender, but even with some hodgepodge summoners, they do get the backline access. They do win the team fight. The KT Rolster, no value out of Chovy. Going for the early answer here. The Nocturne being given up is looking pretty costly, as when it comes to Alistar first pick versus Nocturne first round. I'm taking the Nocturne, what it's doing to Chovy, what it's shutting down on the side of Griffin. We'll watch the replay, as this is certainly a deep teleport, but it's exactly at the same time as we see the Paranoia swoop in. Yukal is tanky, he can take a knee. They explode Chovy, and when Chovy dies doing nothing, it's going to be teamfight win almost every time for KT. Speaking of wins, they're taking that damn huge Elder Dragon and turning it onto a Baron.
This is exactly what I was talking about. My favorite Mordekaiser play in the universe is the biggest of dragons taking down a Baron. Oh. Okay, and go score once again. Ornhorn's going to get the knock-up as Viper is so dead. That's about as dead as you can possibly be. No more Darius on the map, and Sword, he's still walking from base. The backs have started Griffin are going to give up the Baron and the Elder, and KT have all the control once again.
Couple of teamfight losses in bot, and you think KT, surely it's KT again, but KT Rolster are trying to rewrite history. They're trying to be the team to actually take down Griffin for the first time in 2018. Huge damage numbers for the Aatrox. He was joining the Paranoia from the Nocturne. It wasn't even Smeb. He did a lot of damage also. Consider that Smeb did basically same damage as 3 to 4 people of the enemy team. Massive damage numbers from Aatrox. Yukal watched in fear as FLICKR smashed him on the mid lane Aatrox. He's making it work for him, and we asked for KT's side, would Yukal finally be able to step up? Easy answer already is yes.
Yep, 5, 3, and 5 now on the Aatrox. He's died a few times, but doesn't matter at all because he's got the items. He's got his own Sterix, actually. Building 3 Durham's Fist this game so far, but that is going to be a very, very dead Inhibitor turret. Inhibitor in the mid lane going to go down, and where do KT go next? Still a couple of inner turrets to be taken, and the waves aren't in great positions, but KT, they went from troubling times with a few of those fights to complete decimation of the map.
And the execution's been impressive, Atlas. They've been really good at these mid to late game team fights that have let them down for so long. Smeb going on to the cannon. He may not have the stat line, but we've seen the backline access that Nocturne in the last fight, Aatrox, and more reliably, the cannon have provided, and we are on the precipice of another historical moment this week for Griffin. We talked about their big win over Kingzone and what it meant. It seemed very unlikely they would sweep the LCK and go 18-0, but they do lose here. That would end the streak that started on the 18th of January in Challengers Korea, the first match day in spring. It's been 162 days since Griffin lost the best of 3 in any competition. And for KT, they're all about dotting the I's and crossing the T's to make them the ones that do it.
Yeah. And what does it mean for momentum for Griffin as well? It's the final test that they have. See how they bounce back from a loss. Is Marta going to throw the horn out once again, and they're going to take down the Inhibitor turret. Good knock-up lands onto Lehens, but he's able to soak a lot of the damage here. Paranoia flying through. Sword going to be late to the fight, but they just use it in order to zone them away from the Inhibitor. KT playing very reserved in this late game.
No summoners. Can Griffin even force a fight after the objectives go down? The easy answer is no. They're going to have to back away. They give up another objective. They're in touching distance of gold. It's not 10,000 at 41 minutes, so that lets you know that the gold is competitive, but lead goes clearly to the side of KT. I wonder if they're going to have to wait for the next round of neutrals before they feel strong enough to do something as brazen as diving the Nexus turrets, because ending the game with only a cannon as a ranged auto attacker, surprisingly different.
Yeah, and Elder Dragon going to be the second one for KT coming up next. They'll have a gigantic dragon as well as second Elder Drake and the most movement speed possible for most of these champions that just love to be able to move faster.
KT have always had the big demons be that little voice in their head saying, go for it now, and often the time wasn't right, Atlas. They've been definitely the team to throw big leads, to manufacture them with an immaculate early game, but then make a mistake. We did not see that from them at the top lane Inhibitor. So far this game, surprisingly reserved after a couple of mid-game mistakes around this area of the map. Gave Griffin a shot. Those little voices will only get louder as they get another Elder as the game goes on. And let's see if KT's decision-making can stick, because this would be a huge win for their season and for their fans who have been suffering, excited, depressed. They have been the KT special. KT Rolster so close to that 2-0.
Yeah, we've just been nervous. KT fans just been nervous so far. Win-loss, win-loss. Feels like we don't know where anyone stands here, but KT playing this one immaculately. Sword is on the top side of the map.
And when he shows, remember, Paranoia and all these flashes can be pretty fast engaged, so it's risky.
Yep. But they are going to throw out the Ornhorn. Marta tries to find the knockback, doesn't get it.
Sword teleports, super cancels. He can't be there now. But they're not going to see an engage. He teleports early because he's felt the pain of the Paranoia stopping him having any options to get to the fight. So they bait out a teleport.
Well, Score, he's going to get engaged on here by Griffin. Could this actually turn around? Paranoia, like you say, does come in, but when they're on top of the Nocturne, it's a different story.
It's 4v5.
Now the fight comes down for Smeb as he gets himself right in there, but gets taken down. Chovy, this time around, is still alive, but not for long. Zhonya's does come in as Mata zoning him out of the fight and will get the kill. Darius on the backline is getting the work done, but now Sword, he's cut off. Viper, he's cut off. Mata gets in there, but it's a good flash from Viper to get himself out of the way. Sword's there, but the thing that he can do the best is not die, but he's not really doing much more than that as KT. They've got a super minion. Can they just try to win the game?
They've also got the Mordekaiser clones. They have multiple ways to take this turret. I think it's going to do it.
Yep, a lot of damage available from that clone as well as they dive on top of the Mundo. This is going to be the last fight. Can Griffin actually find it? Another Ornhorn does come in, and look at the health bars of Griffin. They're evaporating. Both of the turrets now taken down, and KT, will they do it? It's a 2-0 for KT Rolster over the #1 team in Griffin.
Big cheers from the crowd. The roller coaster has truly left the station. KT Rolster complete the 3 series that typify KT. They smashed NG, lose to SKT convincingly, and then beat undefeated Griffin and snap a 162-day win streak by this team. Finally, we will know how Griffin bounces back from a defeat, but cruelly, we won't know for 2 weeks. Griffin don't play again till after the Rift Rivals break. A lot of time for them to reset their mental, to do different things, because coming back from a match loss is one of the most important things as a pro player.
Oh, yeah.
And Chovy's never had to do it because he debuted after that streak had already started.
Exactly. Haven't been able to get there, but like you say, a lot of time, but that could be a good thing or a bad thing. Doesn't mean that they marinate in this loss for a really long time.
They're young players. Your first thought is yes. You see Viper on your screen. Everyone showing emotions they haven't had to. They've always taken it when they needed to. And the worst part, like you mentioned, the marinating is you just want to get out there and show in your next match you can do it. Your next match, it's not an easy one. It's a freak of freaks. And it's also after a long break. So the amount of time while you watch KT Rolster rush off to Dalian, China, and playing Rift Rivals, for once there's that little voice of doubt, not on the side of KT, but on the side of their opponents. The Griffin voices will say, can we do it next time? Because for once, they're not sure.
Yeah, and then it's Genji after that as well. And you mentioned going over to Dalian, it is going to be a freak of freaks there as well. As we're going to have a look at this damage graph. Chovy did the best that he could on his famous Zoe, but it's not going to be enough. Look at Deft's damage on the Mordekaiser. My God, when you get a bunch of items, you really start to rip people apart.
And reinforcing the early game, winning through bot was what we talked about. We needed Deft and Mata to show why they are so respected in the 2v2. They did. They had a fantastic series. The roaming in game #1 and then in game #2, able to just play around their pressure. This team specifically has the bot lane that overextends, that pushes up, that creates pressure the most of any team in the world. They turn pressure into Mordekaiser Drakes, into further pushing, monopolize the objective you need on the Mordekaiser. And also, if you think the enemy's going to play hodgepodge, mages, wizards, tanks, why not go Mordekaiser, who is very strong in the 2v2?
Yeah, and that Alistair Darius had some moments this game, but in the end, it was all about Deft's Mordekaiser. We're going to have a look at the MVP. See who managed to take it here for KT. It will be Smeb with his world-famous cannon on the top side of the map. AP cannon coming out after Cuvée brings out the on-hit cannon. So good to see it again from Smeb.
Smeb does it classic. That's the way he always did it. The AP cannon was his pick. Nimbus Cloak making him even faster as he pops the ultimate. They got the first kill with his creative flip over to the Ignite at the time to have extra chance to take him on the turret score. Ooh, 16 HP, but able to escape from those pesky minions with a smite and the dodge. That was the sort of moment that maybe in a different series for Griffin goes the way of Griffin. Those little moments, they went the way of KT. KT's game plan was reinforced and well targeted at what Griffin liked to do. And more often than not, they were just blowing up Chovy, and his famous Zoe pick didn't count for much.
Yeah, and what I really like is the fact that KT had those moments of doubt in the middle of this game and bounced back and created intelligent team fights that they were able to win out on. Because, yes, we're looking at the highlights of KT, but there were moments where Griffin really fought back and really took it to KT. The gold was completely even, and then KT out-team fought them in the late game, which is the takeaway that's most important for KT fans.
For KT fans, you believe again. For Griffin fans, a lot of them new fans, of course. Some will call it bandwagon, some will call it a new dawn. They just, for once, have a bit of doubt, and the players also need to regroup, refocus. Might even be a new patch when they come back from Dalian. Might even be 8.13, given it's 2 weeks from now, and 8.13 is already live. Things can change in League of Legends. A 6-0 start, beating Kingzone, it tells us that Griffin are no joke. Losing to KT shows that they're human. Where they go from here, we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll see whether it's up and up. The FLICKR Freaks and Gen G to finish the first round robin here in the LCK. So it's going to be stiff opposition from here on out until we get to that second round robin. But congratulations to Smeb. It was an incredible performance. He's going to join UCal for our MVP interview. It was KT Rolster. They haven't been here for a while. It was SKT that took it away from them. But speaking of taking it away, take it away, Joel.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Joe with the interview translations. We're here with KT Rolster, who pulled up a surprising 2-0 victory against currently undefeated. That was Griffin, but now they face the loss, and it's going to be against this team. With these two players heading to the charge, we're going to have a talk with them to see how they felt about the game. Cal, just want to say hello. Hello, I'm here for the MVP interview, and my name is Yukal, and it's great to be back again. And I'm sure you're finding it difficult to make interviews nowadays. I was so busy, giving off the MVPs to my younger brothers, but I'm finally here for today. We were talking about Smeb possibly giving off the MVP to your younger brothers again, but your game too, the carry performance out of you was definitely something that was really difficult to really expect. What was the biggest thing that made it difficult, where you guys made the comeback win at the end? I mean, I was really confident and perhaps overconfident at times, but let's see the replay here. Actually, thought that this could have been one for Smeb to really get the highlight reel, but I feel like I was trying to pull on the pressure and try to induce the fear onto them, but they definitely didn't bite on that one, and I'm trying to not look at this highlight here because it's a little bit embarrassing at how it all turned out at the end. We thought that you put the teleporter and try to go for the key, the plays right at the end. I mean, whenever we faced up against Griffin, we were trying to unite as one, and we were trying to think that no matter what happens, we were gonna win the games regardless. Become 5 as one, as you say, Yukal, but it was really important that you guys went all with not range champion, but melee champions, but tried to go in all together with that. And Galio with you, Yukal, on that 5-man stun was also a treat to look at. And it wasn't a clean start for KT, as you have to say. And we knew that Yasuo had no flash whatsoever, so... And I knew that this wasn't going to go forward, and we tried to go for something that could have been very dangerous for us. I think it was my airborne that came in first, says Smeb. So, trying to take the responsibility of who got the super play there. Of course, you guys both had a big part in how you guys won that big team fight in Game 1, but before you guys went in, did you feel like it was a good way to initiate them? We thought we were actually getting hit on first, so it was really important that we were supposed to stay input, but Yukal was feeling really confident about going in, so I just had to follow him because I trusted his instincts and trusted his decisions of going in, so we came out with a good after that. And people were saying that KT are really doing well in the picks and bans nowadays, more recently. Do you think it's been an improvement for you guys? We're always trying to make the composition around fighting champions and trying to get the best team fights possible. And you guys are getting better, and people are recognizing that as well. But also, Aatrox now can be a flex in the KT squad between you and Yukal and Smeb. But which one do you think is better with either you or Smeb? I mean, he's a top laner, but at the same time, I don't want to automatically say that he's better at Aatrox than I am. And after game 2, we thought that the synergy was incredible because, and just coming out of Vision with that cannon, and it just really brings you good memories with that champion smap because you had it at key moments of your career. What do you feel like your relationship with Cannon right now? I have good memories of Cannon, I should say, but during practice I don't use it that much, but when the composition really brings in the cannon being so fitting to it, so I had to bring it on for game 2. Did you feel like you wanted to bring something of an AP versus the AD situation? I think there's a big difference between the two, but today's concept was just about getting the team fight on, so that AP was a lot more fitting for today's composition. And people were saying, you know, the difference between the cannon and a lot of people were saying good things about your plays today. And do you think you want to comment on that just a little bit? I try to make sure to use the skills a little more efficiently, because I just can't really change the spells because the unsealed spellbook is such an important one for me, and I'm so dependent on that as a spell to work with, and it just really allows me to work with the spells a little more flexibly. And it really did create a big counter pick onto that, and also with UCal, just feels like all the teams having done so well recently, it feels like KT might be the one to feel a little bit scared recently, but against Griffin, who has had the best moments up to this so far. And how'd you feel about them facing up against these teams? I wasn't really focused on getting new picks today until today, but I think more recently I've been feeling that, you know, providing creative picks and providing new creative strategies became a lot more important. And I feel like the attempts and trying to become new and trying to become the new and the experimental, that's what allowed me to get the picks today. It just feels like the rookies are really on a roll in LCK, not just Griffin, but you as a UCal, you haven't played in the LCK for too long, as we remember. I just try to not worry about that but I think the opposition was kind of worrying about that a little bit because they're more rookie than I am, so. Smeb, he's definitely enjoying this conversation, not being a rookie himself, but. And you know, what do you feel about new teams and new players doing so well right now in the LCK, and just with veterans kind of getting outshadowed at times? I think last year, I think there was a lot of good rookies that came in, and Griffin doing well as well. But I think the league is getting more interesting and more fun to expect, and really fun to watch here as well. Of course, we're trying to just close out the interview for a bit, but do you want to say anything to do with Smeb? You want to say anything about score? I mean, he's just a perfect being. He's the perfect human being, and I just can't express all of that in words. I don't have enough time for that in the interview time, but as the eldest brother, we always try to rely on him, and him providing the positive energy is great for us. For UCal, being one of the youngest right now, would you like to say anything with the matches ahead? With today's victory, and also we'll try to create the great plays in, so that whenever you guys see us, we'll try to give up great plays in ahead. After MVP, we go to Rift Rivals as well. But as a representative of Korea, we'll try to do the best we can. And that's going to be KT. And watching ahead towards the MVP game, also the Rift Rivals as well. And with this victory, see how they do. I'll send it back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Joel, for the interview translation. Fantastic to see Smeb with his glorious hair. A little bit Super Saiyan this time around. But 2-0 KT Rolster over Griffin. There's a beautiful quote that I actually just read on Reddit. It was FlameboyXU that said it. And he said, being a KT fan is basically having your worst memory and best memory playing out at exactly the same time. That's the life of a KT.
The end result is, how could you ever not watch them? Because you never, ever know what you can get, and you will feel something after a KT series.
Yes.
You cannot be dead. You will always
That is
feel
true.
something. From KT Rolster, who jumped to 4-3 from this Griffin. First match loss in 162 days. They join the big boys. They take down the reigning champions. The KT Rolster able to take them down a peg. And now Griffin have to stew on that. Stew on the VOD review. Think about their next move. Because sadly for them, their next move is in 13 days. In less than 13 days, but still in about an hour. We'll have our second series of the day.
Yeah.
It's a big one. SK Telecom T1 finally finding some life, taking down KT Rolster. The greater than chains of this season are insane. I don't know what it means, but they're facing Kingzone Dragon X in what could actually be a close series.
It certainly could, and I'm excited because at the start of the week you'd look at the series going, yeah, don't know whether there's much hope for SKT, but after the first day you're like, eyebrows raised, can they do it again? Is 8-12 more of an SKT patch? Man, there are so many questions. We've got a lot of time to ruminate on them as well because it's not going to be for, like you say, about 55 minutes.
Definitely a patch that's evolving, the Morgana ban. That's probably coming out against Bang, but we're going to get to see it soon, and maybe another new champion.
Yeah, exactly right, guys. So we'll see you after a relatively long break. Go and, I don't know, do your hair, have a shower, do whatever you want, grab something to eat, and we'll see you after that.
But you're the criminal. No implication. You're unpredictable. Time to lose control. System, but you're invisible. You're on a mission to take the city on. Time to lose
Coming up next, Kingzone Dragon X, SK Telecom T1, 2018 League of Legends Champions Korea Summer Split.